Ladies and gents, we have made it to Rome. It took plenty of time, and I think each day I do a video. I'm going to give you a little update on the day that we've had. So we're sitting here at the moment with probably 3 or so hours sleep since Sunday morning, and it's nighttime in Sydney right now. So if I am a little bit delirious, deal with it. It'll get better from here. But our little story of the day, we just went and grabbed some lunch. I've been talking up Italian pizza to my missus, and we tried it. I was like, babe, you don't have to worry. Margarita pizza over here is the best. It's terrible back home, but you've got to get it when you're away. And it was, if below par was there, it was below par, that's for sure. My goodness, I'm rating it about a 3 out of 10 back home, and then they asked for a tip, and stood my ground and said no. So if you hate me for that, unlucky. That's where we're at. So that's today's little thought of the day. In Rome, let me know if there's anything in Rome that we should explore if you have been. But Eagles and Storm, we roll through these two games before we get into the round results. This one was an interesting one. There was a few players that did well. You can see there with 7 guys going the 50 and above, which was good with a couple of big scores, but mainly for those guys that weren't super relevant. In Tolu Kola with 81, the 2 tries and the 4 line breaks for him, 8 tackle breaks, and averaging 36 for the season there. We've got Stefano with 68 in his 52 minutes, finally coming out and scoring well and just running with plenty of vigour there, 8 tackle breaks, 2 offloads for him. Eli Katoa is where it gets a little bit more interesting, given he's averaging 57 for the year and he's up a decent amount of cash now, and lockout's definitely lifted. I'm a little bit late here. It's weird not posting a single video on Monday after usually having sort of 3 on there. But Ellie, he's actually someone I think you can potentially target if you need someone in your edge. You don't want to wait for someone like Preston, who we'll speak about in the next section. Ellie's someone that I think will be pretty consistent this year. He's going to be involved in plenty of attacking stats, and in games where it may be a little bit more lower scoring, I do expect him to hit sort of that high 40s in some base there, and then he'll have every game or every second game some type of attacking stat to keep him going. And he even spent some time when Pap went off, when Hughes went off in this one, out on the left on the left edge in the centre position, with Jack Howarth moving over to the right side. So with versatility like that, he didn't actually get the ball too much in that last section and could have scored a lot more than what he did. But as you can tell there, he was actually on that right centre for a little bit, got a try assist out there, and picked up a line break earlier on in the game. Offloads the ball, good run meters. He's such an attacking weapon. Similar to that with Ola Kawatu, but I think Ellie has, in a better team, a little bit more consistency of getting those attacking stats, but also that general base where he can get into the low 30s tackles and still hit over 100 meters pretty comfortably. So both those guys good. The big difference with Ellie, 1, the team, but 2, Origin as well. And Ola is a chance of making Origin, with Ellie, no chance, given he's a Kiwi. So they're 2 interesting back rowers, and it's a position that there are lots of options, but none of them are sort of slam dunk options, apart from the couple of guys in sort of the mid range that Couchman, Wong, Nafahu White, Nicholson in this last game, but wasn't too crash hot the 2 before. That are really consistent. There's not a lot out there. Trent Liero, Anderson, 2 really good scores for them, 57, 56. Grant with 3 tries there, and Munster's 55. And it is a little bit frustrating. I know I'm seeing people after this game going, he's done so much. He scored a try. He's got 2 try assists, and he still can't get past that 50 odd. And it feels very similar to that of round 1 against the Eels, where they absolutely smacked him, and he still only got that 53 with the 3 try assists. And unfortunately, it's probably going to be the way with Munster. He will be involved in the attack. We've seen him, he's got pretty close to the most try assists of anyone this year. But is he going to be getting heaps of tackle breaks, offloads, and the like? It's not really part of his game right now. He seems to be directing traffic. He seems to be kicking really well for try assists as well. But yeah, his general running, getting that sort of 4, 5, 6 tackle breaks, the odd couple of offloads, more kick meters. Like, he's down in the mid hundreds to low hundreds there, and missing out on sort of 3, 4, 5, 6 in kicking as well. So that's the stress with Munster. And similar to that with Grant, he's scoring pretty low as well. They're both averaging about the same, 44.8 for Munster, 44.3 for Grant. And it looks like in these games where they win, he's going to score pretty well, Munster. But the games where they don't, then he's pretty susceptible for these 30s and 40s. And he's someone there priced a tick under 44, which means that with the average that he's giving you, it's not underperforming what he's where he's at, but you did expect a lot more. You expected him to be about that 50 pretty comfortably, and it just hasn't happened as yet. I personally think he's a pretty easy hold given the really tough half situation right now, and we'll go through that throughout the week in the best buys video. And it looks like that was the one that stood out the most. It got about 10,000 views last week, so thanks so much, team, for checking that one out and enjoying that one. So Munster, very important this week for that reason, especially if you sold Sandon Smith and you're looking to get rid of Cole and you've got Humphreys and these types of guys. But DCE 47, if you own him as well, you're holding steady, even with a couple of those lower scores that have come in after the really beaut start. So stick steady there. If you bought in Lehigh Hopewadi, it was a 47 in a game where they got whacked, and he had 1 try assist in this one. So for him to have that and the 3 line break assists, but it's not a heap of points for him, to have all that only and get 47, I think is a big win. And he should be in that high 40s going forward until Tommy does return, even with that tougher run they do have. Jerome Hughes. So he got 2 try assists, a line break for himself in this game. Only had to kick for 224, given the amount of points in this one, but running plenty as he does. And there wasn't, it wasn't rushed back, but they did lose last week, and he would have wanted to play, and there was no point him playing that last sort of 10, 11 minutes. So a good early mark for him, and he's actually down 114k for the season after absolutely dominating last year. So the few games that he has played, 3 now, he's at a 40.3 average, and he's someone that I think you can look at this week. He's priced in that sort of 53, 54 range now. Can he get back to that? Yeah, I think pretty comfortably. But that very high break even, you could easily wait another week or two as well. Their run, he's someone that I think you can have through the middle part of the season very comfortably, but you can also buy him in like 2 weeks as well. You could buy him this week. You're just probably buying him a little bit above price of where you can get him in a few weeks. So someone to look out for, and definitely an option this week. Harry Grant, 41. Did pick up the try assist, but just the missed tackles, man. It's the killer at the moment. 2 offloads, but no tackle breaks. 33 made for 6 misses, and it just can't be that way for hookers in this league. 21 net tackles. It's definitely not good enough. And if you are an owner of Grant, you're super frustrated with this one, and I was annoyed with Watson not playing the 80, and he can still get 47 in that 66 minutes or whatever it was. Whereas with Grant, he had that one game 2 back or something like that where he had the 50 tackles and only missed the 2, and this game it's sort of back to that norm, unfortunately. And for him to miss this many tackles when they dominated so much is where it does get a little bit sloppy there with neg 14 for him. And you are holding at this point 650k. He's priced about 48 now, and hitting a 44 average. Like, he's not going to go too much lower than where he's at right now. And I do expect him to get closer to the 50 again, but I keep hearing Wade Egan in his name coming up, and he potentially is going to be an option at some point there for some people. And if you go Grant to Egan, by all means, enjoy. What's he averaging? Mid-50s at the moment. Let's see if that can actually stay, or if Grant can back it up and improve. Ruben Garrick, 39 for him with the 4 goals. Had that one good run late where he picked up, I think, a couple of tackle breaks and potentially an offload as well. And then that disallowed try. So he could have easily got himself to 47, potentially 49 with that goal if they allowed that and actually give him the penalty as well. So yeah, it could have been a 50 ball with if that one went to play, and it did not. So yeah, for someone like Garrick, he just needs to stick in your side long term, regardless of the opponents, because they're gonna score points as well. As you can see here, they did get smacked, but they also put on 4 tries as well, and he's going to be involved in them when they come. He even outdid Pappenhausen, who picked up a try and 7 goals in this one. It was just the 80 run meters and then some hamstring tightness, so hopefully he's okay. And if you do own him, you get him back in your side next week. Not someone I think you want to target at the moment, though. There's so many injuries around him, and it's definitely not what you want in your side to worry about that on a week-to-week basis. Jack Howarth, 37. People are like, oh, what do we do with him? He's averaging 37 there for a guy priced pretty similar to that. He did lose a little bit of cash last week there, and he hasn't hit the heights of that round one, but I think it'll happen for him at some point. The main problem that we see with him, and the same with Munster and these guys, is there's just so many mouths to feed. There's so many guys that are really, really good at football and good at attacking, and it will spread out. There would be the odd game where, as we saw with Pap, he dominated and got a 70-odd one game. We've seen Hughes last year really dominate with Eli Katoa. We've seen Munster at times be really, really good. We've seen Xavier Coates get a bunch of tries in a game and dominate, and it is going to be spread around, unfortunately. Howe's big game was at round one, and it hasn't happened yet. It probably will again, but he's averaging 37 for the year now. If you bought him after that big one, then that's where it does get a bit frustrating, but the talent is there. There needs to be some lower scoring games where they can win and he can still do well. But the 3 errors is the worry. But he absolutely stood Garrick up in that one. Sean Bloor, a base stat guy, if he doesn't get attacking stats, it's going to be low, and he saw 32 there. Same with Takeaho, 30 for him in the 49 minutes. And then Wishart, 19-19. So he'll continue to drop cash there in this one. And then what about big Leo? 5 in 80 minutes with 7 missed tackles. Pretty rough there for the young outside back. All right, let's go over to that final game before we get into the results for the week, which was pretty good overall for myself, and I hope they were for you. Although these down dates, to finish off rounds, I never seem to get the rub of the green on that one. I go back about 300 or 400 spots every time. I think I was seeing like 1,700 odd and finished just outside the top 2,000 after the Siwa Wong neg 6, and I think Payne Haas dropped a few as well. But Doggy's getting the 20-0 victory over the Knights. Commend the Knights for the start with the head knock, with the calf injury to Jacob Saifidi, to then be just defending their line for the majority of that game. It was a great effort on their part, but they just had nothing in attack, and Greg Marzou looked really, really poor, unfortunately, with Kiraz terrorising him and him getting a couple of errors as well on his side there. But there were a few decent scorers in this one, with 5 players going above the 50 mark, and then Thomas Count, Frizzell, Kurt Mann all getting close to that mark there, getting above that 50, with Thomas at 50 on the dot with 3 turnover tackles. And let's start with Thomas, because that was a terrific effort out in the centres for him to have 32 tackles for 6 misses in a game where he doesn't, he's not a centre. It was a really good effort. 1 line break, 3 turnover tackles, just works hard, and it's going to be interesting to see if he fights his way into a clear spot in this side when Lucas does return, when Kai Paul returns next week, how they're going to play this one. Just good to see that he can go out into the centres and do a decent job there. So if you did jump on him this week, you'll be very happy with the 50, the way that this game played out, and the poor scores that were there for the majority of their, especially outside backs. You see the middles here in Elliott, Leo Thompson, Frizzell there on the edge, all getting really good tackle numbers and good scores, with Elliott 65 and Thompson's 55, not being super relevant there. Just getting that job done. For him to do that well on the edge was great. And McEwen as well, 47 in basically the full game. Even guys like Gagai are making 19 tackles out there. Matt Croker off the bench, 38 as well. We had 55 minutes and Phoenix Crossan 45. So plenty of attack there. And you saw Preston, play the full 80, make 35 tackles, and Reid Marnie 42. 2 of the bigger tackle makers in their side. And you can see there plenty of run meters for Preston. 7 tackle breaks. The offload was awesome for him in this game. And he's definitely on my target list for the following week. So they do have a bye next week, team, to check that one out in round 6. And he's priced in around that mid-50s now and hitting a 57.6 average. The question's going to be, do they continue to give him ball post-bye? And when Kickout comes back, moving back to that right, how's that going to look? I think it'll look pretty good. With Kiraz being there, they're going to get some work through that edge, and hopefully Preston's a beneficiary of that, like he was at times last year, going right and having him as a short option, whereas they can go out to the back for Crichton and for Kiraz. He could get plenty of balls. So I'm excited for him come round 7. Reid Marnie, 54 for him. A good try assist and improving on his really slow start. You could look at him, but we know that he's very up and down, and it could go back to poor very, very soon. Toby Sexton, a good bunch of weeks for him with the kick meters, especially. This one down a bit, 355, but they just had the ball in Knights red zone so often, so kick meters weren't going to be the big thing. Great to see Kiraz out there with the 44. with 5 offloads there, 178 metres there. Did have 3 errors, did have 2 penalties, so just working back into his craft. 1 try assist there to help his side out as well. 635k, scored a tad under where he's priced at. I think we can just watch, similar to that with Supercoach at the moment, just watch and see how it all pans out. But great to see him back. And then Toddy, 39 in 20 minutes with that try and line break. Great work for him in his second game in the big leagues. Greg Barnes, 38 in that 80-minute effort. And surprisingly enough, after such a poor game, to still score 38, he had 4 offloads, a turnover tackle, still made 4 tackle breaks, and surprisingly enough, only had the 2 errors with how poor the game ended up. So sometimes fantasy can tell a different story, and when he's priced, he still made $1,000 out of this game. Outside backs, it was tough going for the Knights given the situation that they ended up in, but with Bradman Best, the 36 for him. After a couple of really good weeks, he still picked up 2 turnover tackles. Like we saw, him out on that side. We saw 3 turnover tackles for Thomas Kant as well. But him and Bestie and Marzu helping out defensively with that one. And a respectable score, 36, and still made a bit of cash. And similar to that with Fletcher Sharpe, I was looking into him and still potentially can, but the up and down nature of the Knights is the worry. If you're looking at any of these outside backs, and Fletcher Sharpe can cover wing fullback and the half, and that's super important going forward for us in fantasy. But 36 for him. The tackle numbers have been so good, hey, but the run meters there were low in this one. Had a few negatives there, neg 10, and just no general attacking stats. But I do think that for the majority of the time, him having this tackle base and this running base will get him into the 40s and 50s pretty comfortably. Hayward, 29 in 80 minutes. His time in the halves, I think, is coming to an end, but a great stint for him, and 5 from 5 for the Doggies, a very impressive effort. Kalen Ponga, the big worry here, 25 for him, 97 run meters, lots of kicking meters at 194, but for him to have under 100 run meters, 2 tackle breaks, no offloads, 1 line break assist only, it's never going to be good. And for me, it thankfully worked out selling Ponga instead of Watson. Picked up an extra 22 points and not a big price drop. But the reason for that for myself was just because wing fullback is very up and down. And guys like Watson, guys like Cleary, they're going to get that general base, which the fullbacks just aren't going to do, and do usually rely on a bit of the attack. If things aren't going their way, they don't have the ball in their hand, they can't get points. Whereas guys like Watson, you almost prefer his team to not have the ball so he can make tackles. Cleary, you want his team to be pretty generally shared, but he can get tackles as well as, even if they're not scoring points, he's getting those kick meters. So that's just something to think about when you, as to where you spend your money, basically. I think that leaves it there. Yeah, it's a lot of low scores there. Blake Taff came on for 3 minutes there. Stephen Crichton, 16 points in that one. All right, let's get into my side there and the results. As I said, it was a pretty decent week for my side. We did lose a few points at the end there, but we move on from that. We had Siwa Wong's 80, Nicholson 74, Isaiah Yeo with the 69, but it's a tough score for Payne Haas there with the 42. We end up losing a couple, as we said there, but very, very happy with my starting centres. My wing fullbacks in general, Stafford Toa, Rob Toya, Brimson, Campbell, Jenkins. We've got Cleary there without the captaincy. Hubner was great. End up holding on to Yongi in the end, so he was going to go to Dylan Egan, and then I just decided, I was like, well, Yongi can definitely have a good game in him. I think I'm probably going to buy Egan next week, and likely for Jack Cole was my general thinking. And I was like, well, I can definitely do that. I can trade out Humphreys after his one and pretty much go to anyone I need with the 60k I had in the bank. So I just decided to hold, and thankfully it worked out with Yongi making 40k and getting things rolling again. And the worry around wing fullback and that half position, it was very real. So I was like, well, let's just stick with him. Wasn't sure how Brimson was going to go as well, but a 44 for him, kind of cemented that he's going to be okay enough. And he made some cash this week, and we'll have a nice break even again to potentially do some more good things there. So yeah, it was just more of a preservation around this bottom 3 positions in half centre and wing fullback. And I think it's something that you guys should think about as well. So Jack Cole still made 20-odd thousand with the 16 for him, which is great. But yeah, 377k. He's done his job. He hasn't scored very well at all with next to Cleary. Basically, he scored great when Cleary went down the 30 odd, and then got the 60 odd as well in the game that Nath didn't play. And just unfortunately, someone said he's a bit of a passenger. What do you say? He's like a traffic cone out there, just with a Panthers jersey on, not doing too much, and rough because he played really well last year. He just hasn't all kind of come together there. Also glad to have Sanders Smith still sticking in the side there. Cannot catch him for anything better than a 32. I think I've played him for a 20 and a 32, and the other 3 games I haven't played him, he's gone mid-40. So tough times out there. Seyfarth, that was just a rough game, for him. Terrell May still ended up 51. Payne Haas, the low score. So that was pretty much the only game that was a bit low for me. And outside of that was a really, really good position. But as I said, an 871, 2036, the overall rank, and saved my first trade for the year. So congrats to me. Clap it up, team. And let's get into the rankings. I'm 4,465 is my overall score. And we're looking at not too far back, to be fair. 310 points from James in first, doing a really, really good job. And I will get in there and shout out all of the absolute legends that we've got in the private group that are sitting up in the top 50 there. There's actually too many. Way more than I would have thought at this point of the season. At the start, it can be a little bit all over the shop in terms of where teams are at, and then the experienced guys or the guys putting a lot of effort can really improve as the season goes on, just like you're seeing with myself. And every single year, I seem to be coming from behind and making good trades throughout the middle of the season, doing some good work. So 2036 myself, 310 points behind, and first in James has a 52-point lead, which is really, really impressive. So let's get in with the private crew teams and see where they're at compared to those top guys. So I'm actually sitting in 100th and 2000th overall, which is great. But a massive shout out to Brad there in 11th overall. He was sitting at first, I think, when I did the Saturday review, and managed to hold on to 11th, which was great. 15th for Andrew, who jumped on the channel on Monday, as well as Kyle, Brad, and Jake. And Kyle moved up into 37th, which was great. Jakey boy sitting there in 45th with another good week there. And then Josh, who was up in 12th, unfortunately moves back to 58th. But still an incredible start for all of these guys, with Brandon there. Shout out to you as well, 63rd overall. Before dropping out of the top 100 with Danielle. And you actually will, after this video will pop out, you'll have Heath and Nathan coming on and help me out for the 3-game impact video. And Nate's actually sitting in 107th right now. So it'd be great to hear from him where his team's at and how he's going from there. And shout out to the other guys in the top 20 there that are doing really, really well. You're all beating me so far and doing a great job. So shout out to you guys for that one. All right, now we move into private head-to-head. I got a win there. Got a win in all 3, which was good. Battle of the podcast. I moved from 16th into 6th. I was 5th, but unfortunately, I think someone moved ahead. Yeah, that was rough. Got into 5th, and then someone outdid me by 20 or something. I think it was a few of the Knights guys that went up. But shout out to Josh in first place at the moment, sitting at 908 overall. So all us podcasters need to pull our finger out and get improving there. That's for sure. But Scoop in there in 9th was managed to overtake him this week with a 774. Thankfully, I could pull out a good score there. And other guys we know in there, Austin, we got Daniel Long, 829, 754 for those guys. So solid scores. Austin a little bit down, unfortunately, on where he was at in the good weeks that he was putting together. Mitchie, who was just gone on holidays, he's very happy to go on holidays after a tough score and expecting a massive bounce back from him this week. We never really seen him get too much of this unluckiness. I think it'll definitely turn around very, very quickly. We've got Marky Jessup in at 12.5K. It's looking up soon for him. We've got Eddie down there, 13,000, who's usually up there as well. And then Adrian in there at 18,000 with the Garrick to Fermor trade, the one that everyone's been mentioning. Nicky's moved up off the bottom of the ladder as well with a decent score, but he was very, very upset with the finish there, where he had Best, Marzu, Jack Howarth in there, Munster to finish up. So not his best little finish of the week, but and Grant as well with 44. So yeah, was hoping for better, for having lots of players left and finishing up in a really good spot. So I think that's a general thoughts on sort of round results. I've got Humphreys to sell. I've got Cole to sell. It does feel like a fairly easy trade week for myself. But there's heaps of different options. There's heaps of guys in the mid-range. There's heaps of different positions. Do you want a half? Do you want a wing fullback? Like guys like Teddy, all the rest are great options there. Plenty of different things you can think about. And they're the two guys I will be selling. And we'll leave the fantasy side of it there. And just a quick touch on the Supercoach side of things. It was a tough up and down sort of week for me. I actually moved down 53 spots and that was all in the end. So not too bad. Just continuing to, 2 weeks in a row now, I got my captaincy wrong after the first 3 rounds, just doing a great job on that one there. And looking at the side there, I had Payne Haas with the 51, doubled up, which wasn't too great. Some solid scores around the traps there with Wyatt, with Tino, with Horsburgh, all these types of guys there. Preston 70 was great. We had Nicholson 91, held on to Cleary for his 94. Some okay scores in 5/8 with Campbell and Brimson there. But Ponga and Mazu, 42 and 35 for those guys was tough. I didn't captain Gutherson. I was scared about the old fullback roulette. And, of course, he comes out and just absolutely dominates with 2 tries and an assist. Jenkins in there, 66. Garrick was fine, 53. But Eli Katoa was the big buy of the week. Picked up a 95 with a try assist, a line break there. Doing some good work. Did sell Arthurs for his double, but didn't really make any money there. And I'm happy to be holding someone named Rob Toya. He's going to get those attacking stats. It's going to come soon. It's going to be a weird week, actually, to work out what we actually do with trades, because the majority of our sides are doing pretty well. The main worry I kind of have here is Preston out and Tino on the suspension. And I can easily just move some things around there. Guys like Nafahu White can come into second row forward there with Tino just switching with May, and I'll do that quickly there. And yeah, plenty of other different things to actually chop and change in the side. But though that sort of second row forward position was the only real concern. 372k I left in the bank. Didn't boost last week, just made the 2 trades. And let's have a quick look at where it's at in the league. So Podmasters sitting 24th now after sort of losing, I think, 8 ranks in that one. Chris in first, Maxi, Guy, Luke, and Kyle round out the top 5. And Aman in there in 7th with a cracking week. Scoop in 11.17. I personally had 11.92 or whatever it was. So yeah, an okay week. If you went under that, you were losing ranks there. And yeah, that's about it, I suppose. The JBFA private crew, I'm 10th in that one. How'd the guys go in here? And he really got to check it all out not that long ago. Jared with an improved week again. He was killing it before last week. Yeah, no one really absolutely stood out. Some good weeks from Jaden, from Johnny Dave. Stu had a good week as well. And yeah, just a small drop for me. But that's fine. We leave it there, guys. 2 games for fantasy. The round results for the week. You'll get a couple of different videos there. Matt's has done a solo one. We've got Heath and Nathan have done one to help me out as well. And the next video you'll see from me will be the team list analysis. And then I'll go through your best buys of the week as well. Thanks for joining me, guys. And we'll catch you in the next one.